Welcome to this week's OK at Work with myself, Sarah Sawyer, my colleague Russell Berger, both attorneys at Offit Kurman. And today we are talking about communications within a business. So, especially as businesses grow, often there's a lot of need for different people to have different levels of information to do their jobs, to manage the business, to make sure that everyone's aligned around the goal, the mission, whatever the business's plans are. And as a business grows, it can become really challenging, and a lot of assumptions can be made about who knows what, and incorrect assumptions often. So, what are some things that businesses should keep in mind as it relates to communications within the organization, Russell?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a really important topic, because you spend all the time developing a strategic plan and a set of goals and a strategy for getting there. And not that every employee in an organization needs to be, fully read in on every strategic decision and the underlying reasons for it. But there should be some cascading of that, and so that when people are working on things, they kind of understand the why of what they're doing. Um, and I think it's really important, even for us as legal counsel to be thinking about, because the more aligned you get, the clearer the goals are, the clearer people understand, the more likely people are to understand those goals. You have less issues with employees. You have better retention, you have more engagement, which we know leads to greater productivity. Um, and frankly, you just have less risk. You have less risk of employees veering off from the goals and creating situations where you have to performance manage, or you might have to terminate someone. You have less risk of, um, you know, of things just going sideways, or people not understand. You can say you weren't productive. That's why we're managing you, and people will get that because you've laid out clearly goals and you've set expectations for those employees.
Yeah, it's really hard to manage someone if they aren't clear on the expectation or what they're supposed to be doing. And obviously those things evolve, right? So yeah, there could be documents that are outdated, right? So like a job description or a goal document or those types of things, like be mindful of, all right, well, this might have been the goal or this might be the role at the time, but they're living, breathing documents, and it's a good reminder too to like keep those things accurate as well, and that can be part of your communication plan. To say, all right, well, how are we going to communicate this, and what else needs to be updated, and a lot of times you are changing the way that things are operating or changing the reporting structure, or anytime you roll anything like that out, really important to think about how that's going to be received and who needs to know what when, and because no one likes to feel like there's instability and that they don't know what they're supposed to be doing. So, and that's not good for the business ultimately from a productivity standpoint.
Yeah, well, especially because as your business grows and you scale, the directive to a division or to an employee, department, whatever, might be, I need you to get from point A to point B, and I might have a couple of parameters for how you can get to point A to point B, but I'm going to give you a lot of discretion in how you do it. But kind of inherent in that is, the people you're delegating to need to understand where point A is, where point B is, what are the rules for how you can get from A to B, and what are my guiding principles for how I'm going to get to A to B? Because things are going to come up. There's going to be hurdles, traps, whatever, that you know you as the CEO, president, what have you, are not going to be able to get in the weeds of every one of those decisions, and you want your team to be able to fill those gaps and have a set of guiding principles for rolling past those challenges so that they can get to where you ultimately want them to go.
Yeah, I think important to remember as well is that if there's not good communication, top-down communication, and marching orders, and that's in the best case scenario, there's confusion. In the worst case scenario, people start assuming bad intent, or they start filling in the blanks on things that, reading things into how the business is doing. There's a lot of unintended consequences that can come from that, both from a productivity and just from a cultural perspective.
Yeah, yeah. You don't want people to come up with the worst story imaginable, when there's a good reason for why the business is making a certain decision. That's for sure.
Thanks, Russell. We'll see you next time.
Thanks, Sarah.